What can we expect on this, the second day of the meeting? This is a very emboldened US that's corralling everybody together, is my first take on it from Blinken.
Well, that's right. In fact, it's the US very much working in coordination with the host, the UK, to bring other countries in line on issues including China and Russia, and of course the guests who've been here on the sidelines from Asia, including Australia and South Korea. So the first day was very much dominated by China. There'll be further discussion around that today because there's a session on arbitrary detention, which is code for China and Russia in places like Iran. But at the same time, there'll be a broader conversation today around what is seen as global priorities, including climate change and the pandemic. And of course, China, has set some very ambitious goals on carbon emissions. So in some ways, today could be a bit more about the ways in which countries can cooperate with China rather than compete with it. And we've seen the Biden administration talk about that also. You put the relationship with China into compartments. So you work against them on some things like trade and human rights and with them on others. The difficulty, of course, is keeping everything very separate.
And what are the conclusions, do you think? What sort of conclusions are we going to end up with?
So there'll be that closing press conference and communicating the big question, as you say, what makes it into the document? Does it mention China by name? And if so, how? You'd expect it would, because this is not a G20 or APEC where China itself is involved and can ensure that it doesn't get mentioned. But it's sort of, in a way, how far countries choose to go here. They'll talk about the global order, about like-minded countries. But the big question is, as you mentioned earlier, is there specific mechanisms that are now included in the communique about coordinating on China? And how do those mechanisms work? How do they differ from the communication and coordination that happens now? How specific are they? Is it really about sort of expanding the G7 behind the scenes to include those other countries unofficially? Either way, whatever happens today, you can expect a critique from Beijing once that communique comes out.